Hi guys, very good afternoon to you. In this video, I have got a question from Komal, and she has written me this email. Let me show you the email. Hi Ajay, I have updated the data in sheet 1 and sheet 2, and same data should be updated in summary sheet automatically. Need your help to update the summary sheet. So I gone through her sheet, and this is what actually it looks like. This is the data in the sheet 1 guys, and we have a data in the sheet 2 as well, right? And in the summary sheet, what we actually want to do is we want to have this summary sheet automatically linked with the sheet 1 and sheet 2, so that we can get this kind of output. Let me show you. This data should be copied on this summary sheet, and then in the next row it should pick this data which is in the sheet 2. This is what actually we are going to learn this, how we can do this. So in future, if we have some more data here, let's say this one, let me just copy and paste it, and maybe let's say this one, then it's obvious that first this data should be copied, and then from the next line in the summary sheet we should have a data which is from sheet 2, right? So this is what we are looking forward to. Now I haven't actually thought yet about how we can do this using the Excel formula. Maybe in my next video I'll talk on that, but this is very simple actually if you want to do it from the VBA, right? And generally these kind of things people prefer to use VBA because it's an automation. It gives you more flexibility, and it's very easy also. You don't have to be a good programmer. Even if you have a slight idea about the VBA, then you can actually prepare this kind of a thing, right? Okay, so thank you so much first of all, Komal, for your question. And people who are watching this for the first time, I just want to tell them that this is a video number 165, and there are a lot of videos available on my YouTube channel which you can watch. These are all the playlists, as you can see: VBA function, VBA video, Excel VBA is all in one go, connecting Outlook, what if analysis. So according to the category you can check your the kind of video you're looking forward to. And you can also go to my website excelvba.lover.com, and here you can find the Excel training course which I provide personally to my students, and then VBA training course is also available along with all those 164 videos. You click here on the video tutorial for the Excel, and you will see that all these subjects. So these are all the videos. You just click there and you can watch them on the YouTube or maybe on my website. This is how the link would look like after you click on this. And be a part of my channel also if you really want to learn a lot, because in my channel I have almost uploaded every video from a perspective that when you actually watch those videos you can implement them in your office, right? Okay, so let's start this task, and as I said, it's not much of the work we need to do in this. So what we are going to do is there are a number of things which we can do. First, let's just record the macro. If you don't know the VBA, let's say, then let's say how you're gonna do this kind of a task. So I go to the developer tab. I hope everybody knows that from where you can get this developer tab on. Just in case if you don't know, no problem, let me tell you. You go to the file and the option. I'm using, by the way, 2010 guys. If you're using 7 or 13, I think in 13 we have the same option, but in 7 I think it's somewhere here in the formula tab, or I think in the proofing. I don't remember exactly. Somewhere here maybe where you have this box, but in 2010 it is on the customization ribbon. You need to check mark this on. Okay, once you click that, your developer tab will be on, so that you can click here on the Visual Basic Environment or record macro, whatever. Right now we are going to record the macro, so there we go. So what I'm going to do is, now see, there are two things. I will be telling you about the different scenarios, how exactly you can implement those scenarios in this workbook to make it look very easy and very good, very easy to work with, also very easy to handle also. And also I actually want to tell you that what are the shortcut keys which I'm going to use in this macro, which are very important, right? So I'm going to use these shortcut keys: Control Shift, right arrow, okay, and Control Shift down arrow. So what happens if you don't know about the shortcut key? See this. If I am on this first cell and I press Control Shift right arrow, this is going to be selected, and I still have my Control Shift pressed. I'm not releasing these keys, and I'm going to now press the down arrow. There you go, right? So this will ensure us that our data is properly covered while copying, right? So now let's click on the record macro. So there we go. I will name this macro as, let's say, compile. It should be in this workbook. You want to give some shortcut key, you can. You want to add some description, please do that, but that's fine, I'm not adding. Let me just click on the OK, and there we go. Now you can see that it says stop recording. So whenever I click on this button, the macro will stop. So what we are going to do, I'm going to be on the A2 cell. From here, Control Shift right arrow and then down arrow, copying the data, Control C, coming to the summary sheet, selecting the A2 and then pasting the data. Okay, now once I pasted the data, what I want to do is I want to come to the last row. Okay, so I'm going to press Control down arrow. Control down arrow will take me to the last filled cell. Okay, and then I move one cell down to be on the blank cell. Then I come back to the sheet 2. Again I select the A2 cell and I Control Shift right arrow and then down arrow. I copy the data, and I come back to the summary sheet, and then here on the active cell I'm going to paste the data. Okay, I think that's enough for us. This is perfect. Let's just stop the recording. Okay, now let's see what the macro has recorded for us. So I click on the Visual Basic environment, and there we go. So in this module the macro is recorded, as you can see. So this is a very small macro but very powerful macro, because this can actually give us, this is giving us the result which we want. Now before I run this, let me delete this, and let's see how it is going to work. Because when you actually record the macro from the Excel, there are a lot of things which Excel macro editor doesn't record, and for that purpose we learn the VBA, right? By the way, I'm starting a batch this Saturday. It's going to be online batch, so let me know if you're interested, any of you. Okay, so now see what happens. Now I am on the summary sheet. Now to run this macro step by step, I hope you know the shortcut key, which is called F8, or otherwise you can go to this window also. Okay, step into F8. So let's click this. Now the problem is it is going to select the A2 of the current sheet, and from here it is going to go to the right side. Now this line which you are seeing, range selection dot and Excel to right, this is the our shortcut key, Control Shift right arrow. Okay, and the below one, Excel down, this is for the Control Shift down arrow, that you select. So if I'm going to click on this, then see what will happen. This is going to select all the entire row. Let me minimize it. See this. Why? Because when you started your macro, you were on sheet 1. So from there it was supposed to pick the data, right? But while running this macro, you are on the summary sheet. So this is something which your macro editor were not able to record. So what you can do, reset the code, and you can see this is the, if you don't know the VBA much, but the good thing is this is more of a English oriented kind of a language, so once you read it you can understand it. So this is the code for to select the sheets and then the sheet name. So I'm on the sheet 1, I want to be on the sheet 1, so I'm going to select the sheet 1. Now let me run this macro again using F8. Now this is what I was talking about, which your macro did not record. So I'm going on the sheet 1, and from the sheet 1 I go to the A2 and then select the entire data. Very nice. Then I selected it, I come back to the summary sheet. Now A2 is going to be selected and the data is pasted. Now again I selected A2, and from the A2 I am going to use Control down arrow, right? If you're not expert in the shortcut keys, then please go ahead and watch my shortcut key series on my which is available on my website, or maybe you can find it out somewhere here by the name of the shortcut keys. But otherwise I must tell you that in my website you can go there, or you can find 3 series on the shortcut key. explore your shortcut keys part 1, part 2, 3. So around 25-30 shortcut keys I have explained there, and they are very useful. Okay, because if you want to be an excellent in Excel, then I don't think so you really need to use a lot of ribbon. Okay, you always need to prefer the shortcut keys. Anyways, so that's the shortcut key, control down arrow, and it is going to take me to the last cell. Now the VBA it was not able to record the next step. Now it says range A15 dot select, but who knows, maybe the next time if you have 100 rows in the sheet 1, then A15 is something which we don't want to use. So what we will do, we need to rectify this line. So this is how you will write. See this. From the active cell means from this A14, once you use this, let me just drag this back. Now see this one. Now you are on the last value. After you are on the last value, this is what you need to write. Offset function. This is one of my favorite function. I use it a lot in my Excel also to make the dashboards. Select. So what will happen, this will increment one row. Why I'm writing 0? Because I'm on the same column. So if I execute this now using F8, you see I'm on the blank cell. Now I'm on the sheet 2, and on the sheet 2 I am on the A2, and the data is selected and then copied, and then on this sheet it is pasted. There we go. That's it. I think the macro is finished. Now let's do one thing. One more thing you can do, you can further record one more macro, that anytime when this macro runs, this data should be deleted. Okay, so I can write the macro directly, but because my subscriber, she has written me this email as I shown you in the beginning part of the video, so I'm sure she doesn't know much about the VBA. Otherwise, I think, because this question is not so actually difficult, but believing that if you're not if you're a non-programmer, then yes, that's something is very actually tactical, so that's why I'm more focusing on recording the macro. Otherwise I don't use them. I prepare the codes, and even if you go in my all VBA videos, you will see that most of the time we have prepared the code, and whenever we need to take the help of this macro editor, we actually take. So I must tell you, this is a very good option, recording a macro. Every programmer actually learns through these macro editors. It's a great help, indeed a great help by Microsoft. So now what I want to do is, let me just undo it. Let's quickly record one more macro to delete it, so that we should have before running this, the data should be cleaned. So there we go. I'm going to write it DEL. So what we want on the summary sheet, I will be on the A2 and Control Shift right arrow and then down arrow and then delete, and then A1. That's it. Stop the macro. So let's go back, and this is the macro which I was talking about. So just cut this and put it on the top of this macro. Okay, so that's why I was telling you that even if you're not a good programmer or you don't know anything, a little thing, I mean, you obviously you have to have like the kind of offset I used. So having a little bit of knowledge of VBA, you can at least, I mean, can make these beautiful things in Excel. So but we need to ensure before we are on the A2 cell, we should be on the sheet summary also. Otherwise, if you're going to be on another sheet 2 or sheet 1, that data will be deleted. So that's a very important step. Okay, so I guess we are through with this, and now let's run this quickly, and let me add some data here. I'm going to add some more data, let's say this one. Okay, and let me add some more data here. Okay, now let's run this, and remember I'm on the sheet 2. So press F8, there we go. So I'm on the sheet 2, and there you go. You selected all the entire data. Since we had already deleted the data, so it is not going to show any kind of a effective work, but that's fine. I mean, we wanted to delete it, so the data is deleted now. And now on the sheet 1, I'm coming on the sheet 1. This data is, the entire data is copied. Now this is going to be pasted, and now this is very important. From the range A2, I'm going on the last cell, and then from that cell, which is the active cell, which is A27, I'm going to come one row down, right? And this is what I actually am requiring also, because I want to have the sheet 2 data pasted. So I go back in the sheet 2 and then it is the data is copied, and now I come back to the summary sheet and here the data is pasted. There we go, right? Simple. So now there are different ways of getting this macro activated. For example, you can create a button here. This is very important for everybody who is watching this video, right? Because this is not simple just a macro. I'm also going to tell you which place if you write the macro, like if you're going to write this in this workbook or maybe some other place or maybe on the standard module, then what difference is gonna bring. So I'm going to click on the insert shapes. Let's just drag this button, create this button. There we go. Right click, assign macro, compile and press OK, right? So I'm gonna click here and there we go. Okay, so to make this macro run very, very fast, you can also do one thing. You can add this line, application dot screen equals to false. Okay, this works very fast, and before the end of this enter, please remember to on this option, updating equals to true. Okay, this will make your macro run very fast. Let me close this. Now there we go. You see this? I'm clicking on this and now you can't even see that blinking of the screen which you were seeing. So that's why I love this option, right? So it's working, it's done, right? Every time it's done. You can also put the message box in the end if you want. For example, let me put the message box of that it's done. Let's go back here and in the end of this we'll write here message box. Done. Okay, if you want it, I mean, if it is going to irritate you, then please remove it. There we go, done. It's just an indication, that you are done actually, because the macro runs so fast that sometimes you won't believe. You keep on waiting that that something should happen, and then you will be able to see that all right, so something has happened, because this works so fast that you won't even be able to judge what is going around. So that's why I put the message box. Now let's quickly do one thing. I'm not going to do any changes. I'm simply going to delete this data, and I'm going to delete this data as well. Let's say, okay, this is your new data. Let's come back to the summary sheet. Let me hit on this. Done. Look at this. Wow, everything is deleted and we have got the required data. Okay, so that's the task you can do. Now the point is, if you click on this, only then the macro is going to work. Now if you are somebody who doesn't want to click on the button, because let's say you want that every time when this workbook gets opened, this compilation should automatically happen, then what you need to do is the code which you have written here. Let me first delete that. All right, I think it is already deleted, the code which we recorded. So copy this data, this code, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut this from here and put it into this workbook. Go here, workbook, these are called the events, right? From here you need to select this open. So this means this is a self-triggered macro. It is not going to wait for you to click anywhere. Okay, the same macro I have recorded here, I have put it here. So what will happen now, whenever this workbook will get opened, this macro will run, and your user will not be able to even see that there is some macro which is working. Let me show you. Let me just close this, and now this time let's do one thing. I'm going to simply delete this, or maybe let's add one line. Okay, let me add my name here, and in the sheet 2 let's delete this. So when I'm going to open this workbook, I should have 1 2 3 4 and 5 6 rows here, 6 rows here, right? And the last data which I want is for myself, so I'm going to write here my name. That's fine, that's my number. Okay, now let me save this file. Okay, this file actually is prepared in 2003 when we never had this option of changing the extension to XLSM, right? So that's why I saved this file. Now let me just close this. I hope that I have saved this in the summary sheet. I've saved this in my desktop, so I think yeah, it's there. And one more thing I want to tell you, that if you're using the 2003, then I think you should upgrade yourself, because right now in the market we have a latest Excel version which is 2016, right? And 2003 something, if you're working, if you if you like ask me, I have worked on all the versions almost, so I know that in 2003 that was absolutely, I mean, you know, of its own time, I mean, it was the best version. But right now if you're going to compare it with the 7 or 10 13 version, then I'm sure you would not like to work on the 2003 because of a lot of reasons, because of the, you know, the kind of the customization they have provided in the 2007 onward versions, the beautiful charts, pivots, I mean, there are a lot of things. So please upgrade yourself. 2003 is now almost outdated. So there we go, that's my file. Now I'm going to open this. Okay, so I clicked it, and let's see now how it goes. I have 2010, so that's why, you know, I'm able to open this. Oh, there you go, it says done. Yes, it's done. All right, so there we go, and you can see perfect. Okay, so if you're not going to put the message box, then remember, if the message box will not come, then even you know, that is going to like it is going to seem very interesting, because the user will not be able to see that something happened. Right now the pop-up came, so you know, you would see that all right, so there is some code, but that's all up to you. You can delete it. I will keep it because this looks good. So you know, this is how your data is pasted. Now what else you can do? You can also go to the developer tab, because you know, then now if you're going to run this from the workbook open event, then that means every time you have some changes in your data in the sheet 1 and sheet 2 while working, while being on active, you know, on this sheet, every time you need to close it. Okay, so what else you can do? You can also cut this code, the entire code, because it has its own limitation as well. As I said, that if some data changes in the sheet 1 and sheet 2 and you want that data immediately on the summary sheet, then you have to first close it. Okay, so what you can do is you can go to the summary sheet. In the summary sheet, do one thing. Say that whenever this sheet gets activated, let's say this one, okay, delete this one, this is not required, so just copy the paste it here. Okay, there we go. Now what will happen, whenever you will activate this sheet summary, this macro will run. Okay, and so let me show you. First of all, see this. Now I'm clicking on the summary sheet. There we go. Right, the macro triggered, but it's giving us some error. Let's see what is the error. Okay, so it says on the sheet 2 you can't select the range A2. Let me press F8 again. Okay, select method of range class failed. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's check this one by one. I'm going to put the break code here. Simply click here, and now let's click here. Alright, so this macro is triggered. Okay, now summary is deleted. You can see here everything is going to be deleted. Perfect. Now it goes to the sheet 2. Okay, so there we have the problem. So let's do one thing. Sheet 1 dot range. Yeah, now it has selected, because you know, we have written this, the entire code, and this event, these are called the self-triggered events, worksheet activate. So that's why perhaps, you know, it's not able to recognize the A2, because the code which we are writing, that's particularly for the summary sheet. So I simply, what I did, I added that I you know, became more specific that you need to go to the A2 of sheet 1 from there. All right, so now again here also we need to add the sheet's name, sheet 1 dot range. There we go. So if we have a problem, we have a solution, right? And when I prepare the videos, generally I don't actually do any kind of a rehearsal. So I directly record the videos so that if I get stuck somewhere, you can also see how I think and what I think and how I do the things. It's not that everybody we are not perfect guys, right? Everybody, I mean, it's like it's so vast that the more you go into the more you learn. So that's fine, right? So there we go. Now the data is copied. I'm coming back on my summary sheet. Once I'm coming back on my summary sheet, so now what will happen, again this macro will start, it is going to be triggered by itself because the sheet is activated. Now this macro will again run, right? So I think that is going to give you a problem. Yeah, that's going to give you a problem because then again it will start from the beginning, right? So this is very interesting actually. So I believe that this is something which we do not want, right? So instead of then having this summary sheet activated, I guess it's better than for you to write it in the workbook open event or simply record it in the standard module and press the button there, because what happens every time the data is copied and it's going on the summary sheet, the workbook gets activated, and then instead of going it down, it's actually coming back to that worksheet activate event. So that's the problem actually, and this is something I believe obviously we do not want. So maybe we can edit this macro a lot just for your learning, that we have to change the structure then, because let's do one thing then. After compiling the data from the sheet 1, let's go to the sheet 2 and paste the data there, and then from both the sheets, from the sheet 2, pick up the entire data and put it back in the summary sheet, right? Okay, so there we go. This is going to be extremely very beneficial for you guys, even if you know VBA. So let's do one thing now. What we are going to do, so remember the code is, this entire code is going to be changed now, right? So let me just increase the width of this so that we can see what is happening. Okay, so once you copied the data, instead of coming to the sheet summary, we'll just simply delete it. I will not paste it. Delete. Let's just delete this, and we'll go to the sheet called the sheet 2. Okay, so I'm going to be on the sheet 2 and select it, and after selecting it, I will go to its last cell. So I'll start from the A1. Okay, and then we'll go using the control down arrow. If you remember, somewhere here we have written that code. Let's see, where is that code to go to the last line, or you can directly write this, that from the A1, okay, you should go to the last cell, and then from the active cell you can be on the next row. Okay, from the next row now, that was the code actually I was talking about, this code. So that's fine, I will comment it out. And then once you are on that cell, then you should be able to paste the data. So here you will write the code, which is to paste the data, active cell dot paste special, and paste all, paste value. Paste all will paste everything. If you have a formula, then it will create a problem. So once you have the data pasted, then what you need to do, then again you should go to the A2 cell. So let me just delete this, and from the A2 you copy the entire thing, and then you come back to the summary sheet. Okay, and there you, from the summary sheet, you should paste the data. let me just show you, then you will understand it, not a problem. And message box also we can declare, not a problem. But one thing, when you're going to select the summary sheet, again, before again it is going to not execute the next line, because what will happen then, once summary sheet is activated, this event will again be start, and this will again start. This will automatically start working from the very beginning. So what we want to do, once we are on this sheet, I mean once we have copied the data, or I would say once we are on the sheet 2, we're going to declare here a variable, which is the important part of this code. I'm saying that my check as, let's say, long, okay, or you can also declare it byte, not why to get the unnecessarily load on your memory. So dim my check is byte, and then what we're gonna do, when I'm going to work on the sheet 2, okay, after the sheet 2, I'm on the sheet 2, I'm going to increment this, my check equals to 1, right? So this is going to be 1, and before now I go back to the, I select the summary sheet, no, I think the summary sheet will be selected, and then this event will be activated. So when this is going to be activated, so what we would like to do is, here I will put the criteria that if my check is equals to 1, then exit, else and if, okay, then exit the sub, I mean close this macro, and then it will come back to this position, and it will paste the stuff there. Okay, so let's see how it goes, then you will understand. I have put the break code here. I'm going to select this sheet, variable not defined. Which variable? Alright, my check is not defined. I should have written it actually on the top, this one. There we go. Okay, now press F8. My check, it's empty obviously, so it will skip the exit sub and then end if. Now it goes to the summary sheet, and from the summary sheet it is going to delete everything if it is there. We don't have anything. Now we go to the sheet 1 and we select the data there. Now after copying the data, we go to the sheet 2. Remember, this is the change which we did in the code, right? And then after going to the sheet 2, I am also incrementing this my check now 1. I'll tell you the reason. Now from the A1, okay, so here also you need to write the sheet 2 dot range, and similarly here also you need to write sheet 2 dot range, and then that's fine. Okay, so look at this, from this value, from here A2, it goes to the last filled cell, and now it will come down, and here it's going to paste the data. Now once it has pasted the data, again we need to write here very specific about the sheet. Generally it doesn't happen in the standard codes in the modules, but here, because this is written in the special sheet event, so that's why we need to put it here, sheet 2. Okay, and this is going to select this. We need to write the sheet again, name. That's it. And one more thing I need to write here. Okay, the entire data is pasted, selected, I'm sorry, it is copied. Now see, this is very important. Now you need to understand this. The moment I get this sheet activated, what will happen, instead of going to the range A1, the next line, code will again restart, because your sheet is activated. So as I said, these are the self-triggered events. They don't wait for your instruction. Whenever the condition you have given it on the condition. What is our condition? Our condition is that this code should always work when this sheet is going to be activated, which is this summary sheet. So this keeps on running. But now what I'm going to do here, this variable, this is okay, this we need to do one thing here. We need to, because I have again defined this my check. So what happened, this my check is again now has become 0, right? So let's do one thing. Let's declare this on the top. Okay, there we go. Now let's quickly run this code again. So I'm going to select this sheet, the macro ran. Now we don't require this declaration again. I declared it on the top so that it can be used for this entire code from the top also. We are actually increasing the life of this variable. Okay, so now let me quickly select the sheet summary. The event is going to work now. My check is 0, we know that. So I'm going to quickly run this. We already have seen that the code is working fine. The data is copied. Now say this. Now this is important. Now sheet summary is going to be selected. The moment the sheet summary has selected, now this is the thing which you need to understand, guys. My check variable was, initially when I was writing this code within this sub, it was showing 0. Why? Because I have written here that dim my check as byte. So what is happening, whenever that line is going to be executed, your my check will always start from the 0. So I changed the nature of this variable, then I put it in the top of the module. Okay, if you don't understand what does this mean, then you can go ahead and you can watch my video under the VBA category scope of variables. What we did is actually, we instead of now this local variable, we tried to declare it as a public one. So what will happen, this variable is not going to declare only once, right? And once it is declared, it will never lose its value until we are running the macro. So now here my check is already 1 because we got it incremented here, right? So that means we do not want this macro to run again because we have already compiled everything. So what will happen, it will exit the sub and then it will go to your range A1, and in the range A1 it is going to paste the data. So it should be actually A2 because in A1 you have a header. So let me drag this. There we go, right? So done, and the macro is finished. Wonderful. I wasn't expecting this actually the video to be so powerful in terms of giving you so much of knowledge. As you know, in the beginning I was just telling you it's a very basic code, but then I went ahead, I given you a lot of options because I don't know now what my user actually wants, right? So you have 3 things. If you're gonna write this in the module 1, then prefer to stop my video in the beginning and see that code. That code should work for you. Then we don't have to think so much on that, because then we have a button and that button is going to click. Okay, so but then we also written that code in this workbook, so that anytime when this code this workbook file gets opened, user should not click here. Without clicking here, the code should automatically start, right? And that was also, the good one, right? But then I thought of another option, that what if while working on this workbook you have some data and you want to add it here. Let's say I'm going to add this here. Then does that mean that I should go back to close this file and again to run this file to get that macro activated? No. So what we did that whenever this summary sheet gets activated, then the macro should automatically triggered. And during that process actually we found so many problems, because whenever this after compiling the data from the sheet 1 and sheet 2, whenever we were getting on the summary sheet, this macro was not able to go to the next line. It was coming back to this event, which is but obvious, as I told you. So I declared this my check on the top to make it the public variable, so that the next time when this macro will run, from here, from this my check, after taking the value 1 from this my check, it should actually not going to lose its life, right? So let me quickly run this. There we go. So we got the data, I think. Okay. What is in the sheet 1? We have Komal, Rani and Rajeshwari. So Komal, Rani, Rajeshwari we have. Okay, let's see if we are correct or not. I'm not. Let me check once again. And one more thing, very important thing. When you have the message box, then you need to declare this variable again empty, because your macro is over then. Otherwise, the next time it will work, it will still have the same value, which is going to give you the wrong results. Okay, so let's click back here and Komal, Rani and Rajeshwari, we should have these numbers. Okay, let's see what is the problem in this macro. I'm going to put the break code here. Come back to the summary sheet. This gets activated. Now you can see that my check is actually okay. So that is what I was talking about, because these are the public variables. They are not going to lose their value unless you click on the reset button. Okay, now let's see what will happen. Now you can see it's 0, right? So these are the basic things which I actually teach in my training classes, and if you're not aware of this, then the code really becomes very difficult for you, right? So now obviously this is 0, so it will go to the next line, and let me press quickly F5 again, and there we go, done. Let's see the data. The data is pasted or not. So I think the data is pasted in the sheet 2. This is my data, the entire data. Okay, and this data is also pasted, this one, in the sheet, this one. Okay, so you have to delete this again, to start from here, back again. So what you can do is, instead of having this data in the sheet 1 and sheet 2, you can also do one thing. You can in fact create a new sheet here. Okay, and you can get your data pasted there instead of pasting the data in the sheet 2, because sheet 2 has its own original data. So maybe you can create another compiled data, that here the data is compiling. So what you can do, the copy this data, get it pasted here. I have already shown you the code, and then the next time which you need, what you need to do is from the sheet 2, pick up the rest of the data and then put it here again in the same sheet. So this is what you need to do. Record a macro which copies this sheet 1 data. Okay, instead of taking it to the sheet 2, paste it here, then using the control down arrow, active cell offset, come to the last value, and then from the sheet 2, again using that same command, copy the data and then paste it here. Once you have that entire data, now get this copied and on the summary sheet get it pasted, right? Because right now what is happening in the sheet 2 also, sheet 1 data is getting added. So if it is a irritating stuff for you, then this is what you can do. You can generate a separate sheet, and from there you can get the compilation done, all the data compilation. By doing so, your data in the sheet 2 will be unaffected. That's what I'm actually trying to tell you. Okay, so the only thing which you need to do, instead of selecting the sheet 2, you can select here the sheet called the compiles. It's very simple. I don't think so I really need to explain you, because you can record this in the macro and you have all the codes. You know that what does this mean. Now this line is for the to select the data. Control Shift and right arrow, and this one is Control Shift down arrow. So this is what you need to do, especially for this particular case, right? Go to the compile sheet and from the A1 paste the data, then go to its last filled row, active cell using the one cell, come to the blank, then select this sheet 2 and pick the data from there. And then once the data is picked up everywhere, then you can put this criteria, my check equals to 1. The entire stuff will remain as it is, right? So that's it for now. I'll come up with some more video, till then you please enjoy your Excel and keep practicing. Thank you so much for being a part of my channel. Have a very happy learning. Bye bye.